Live cause I thrive, I might just blow your mind tonight. I'm so hyped, but it's no hype. From this height, it's direct hits on sight. I'm your type, lend me your ears to show you that there's something in me. I'm not giving up, I'm standing right here, holding these days hostage. And I'll make this my year, we turning fear into love, and the love's in the air. I love doing this cause nothing compares, nothing can share that same type of feeling when you feeling them flares. They can't catch it, it's havoc, I rip to a tear. Switch a scenario, my stereos, I leave them impaired. Variables start to change and they're all in my range. I just gotta grab it, it's all mathematics. Every step is drastic, I make it fantastic. I'm trying to take your breath away, asthmatic.
This is live through the stereo. Go and let it blow, blow through the stereo. I'ma let them know through the stereo. Yo, here we go through the stereo, stereo. This is live through the stereo. Go and let it blow, blow through the stereo. I'ma let them know through the stereo. Yo, here we go through the stereo, stereo.
Yeah, just nod your head with it, so explicit and vivid. Every image is intricate, intimate. I put my all into it, no scrimmage and no rules. I'm a pro tool, hear my heartbeat, beat into the vocals. I'm so loco, lost my mind, oh no. It's ponderoso, dope, so no overdose, cause it's dope, yo. Man, this is house grown, mixed with some milestones. So I let the style flow down like the Dow Jones, bringing it with some foul tones, letting the crowd know we getting loud, so it's eardrum rudiments. Yeah, we bring it rude again. Move, little hooligan. Music for tuning in, full time to the 10. I'm on my clock like I told you. I'm doing this for dreams we pursuing.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Anti-Media Radio Show once again with Nick Bernabe here on ucy.tv and the antimedia.org/radio. Really happy to be back and continue our tradition of bringing you some enlightening anti-establishment commentary and news and stuff. We've been going at this now for a couple years, and we've evolved a bit. We started off as like this little tiny Facebook page, the Anti-Media, and it grew into this 2 million strong following just on Facebook, not including all the people that follow us on all the other platforms and stuff, Twitter, Instagram, and etc. And now our website. Hopefully everybody is enjoying the website, theantimedia.org, homepage of independent media. And today, again, we're getting close to like 100 stories a day on the front page. There's no reason why you can't go there and find news articles from basically every major credible independent news organization on the internet in the English language. Maybe we'll work on some other languages. That sounds like something that would be interesting as well. But I'm just glad that everybody's been enjoying the site. We're still working on it. It's ironing out all the bugs and everything, but we're like really happy with what's going on with the site. Really happy that people are using it, upvoting, downvoting. Let us know. Like, that's the thing. Upvote the story so we know what's important to you. Submit the links so that we know what we should be covering, what you want covered. And, we need your help to create the news. We're crowdsourcing it. So it's a whole new model here. And we're like really happy about it. So that being said, if you have been going to the site, you'll notice that there's been a huge story. May not be the big story like on CNN and that stuff, but this Vault 7 leak from WikiLeaks is huge news. And we've been talking about it here and there. I know DB has brought it up several times. We weren't sure what it was going to be, what it was going to entail, but now we know at least. So far, we've only got like 1% apparently of what is all there. But basically, WikiLeaks has leaked a bunch of stuff, bunch of the tools that the CIA has, and a lot of it's pretty frightening. So we're going to talk about that tonight. We may have some other guests on. I'm not sure yet. We'll see about that. But I do have my longtime co-host, DB Schwartz, on the line. What's up, man? How you doing tonight?
Not so bad, man. I guess just watching a lot of the official response to the fallout yesterday, and I have to say, even the White House isn't really claiming any. There's no reaction to this Vault 7, and maybe I don't know. Maybe it's an untouchable thing, and it's going to take public pressure to make something come about. Because a lot of these tools are things that any incumbent guy coming in would love to use, but I think he got a taste in the reality of what happens when there's unmitigated, unwarranted surveillance under the guise of national security. It even affected him as a private citizen, a billionaire. He was bugged. He couldn't tell that his own place was basically breached. And if a guy like him with unlimited resources is in that exact same bucket, we all are.
Yeah, good point, dude. Nobody's immune from this. Nobody's immune, no matter how powerful they are. And not even Jake is immune to this stuff with all of this technical knowledge and stuff like that. I'm just playing. But Jake, what's up, man? Welcome to the show. Someone got to Jake. Jake, are you there? You muted up? All right, we'll get to Jake when he gets to us.
Hello?
Yeah, we got you now. What's up, dude?
All right, hey. Yeah, so yeah, it's pretty nuts what's coming out here in terms of Weeping Angel and the programs. You know, I swear I was debating with someone not even a year ago about. I wrote an article. I looked it up earlier. I wrote an article for Anti-Media about Samsung and their smart TVs recording audio and how they kind of like warned their customers that a third party might be collecting dispatches from the audio. And then I contacted that third party and, said, what is this used for? Is this being reported to the government? And they're like, no. And now we know that most certainly not only Samsung smart TVs, but pretty much from the sound of it, almost all smart devices are in the pipeline of, in other words, they can access anything they want. They can get into any person's phone. It seems like, from what it sounds like, there's nowhere the state cannot go right now. Through consumer devices and surveillance, and this is just 1%. That's what WikiLeaks tweeted today. That what came out on the Vault 7 is 1% of what's going to come out. I mean, we're about to really get. I mean, this is going to be up there with, if not surpass, the Snowden revelations. I mean, we're about to find out some really sinister shit, and it is going to open up a almost incomprehensible dialogue. Because, and you're already seeing if you've been watching any of the mainstream media, they're hardly talking about it at all. And if they are talking about it, they're just saying, oh well. So a new WikiLeaks release has people talking about CIA hacking tools. No one is saying what. No one is reacting in the way they should. No one on there is being like, the CIA is completely breaching for the privacy rights of every single American. No news outlet is saying that. It's unbelievable because they're all repeating the same. They're all on damage control.
And it's as if the media has been infiltrated by the CIA.
It's almost as if they're a branch of the State Department, which they absolutely are. And this is going to go right to the heart of the deep state. And what DB said about Trump is absolutely correct. We are seeing. This is like one of the trippiest scenarios we could possibly imagine, and it's wonderful.
What you're going to see with part 2 is you're going to see the collusion with big business.
Right.
Anybody in 2008 that took a bailout from the government to exist is part of this grid now. For instance, General Motors and their OnStar system is always recording all of your conversations all of the time. So if you have a General Motors car right now with OnStar, every single thing you've ever said, all your heated discussions and arguments and personal crap, and who knows if you're getting roadhead, that's all on audio. So every piece of it. So enjoy that. That's going to come out in part 2, and it's going to be not only in cars, it's going to be in any electronic device.
It's our entire gridded life. It's about to be revealed that our entire gridded life is in a file that some NSA jagoff can look at anytime he wants to. And we're gonna see how much people really care about freedom, because anyone who's still defending the government after this is going to have to really, they're clearly, completely drained of rational thought at that point.
Well, the one tool that is going to be used, and I've seen this already starting to play out a little bit in the media, is, the quote unquote liberal establishment. I say quote unquote because these people are not liberal at all on most issues. They've already kind of turned WikiLeaks into a partisan organization. They're like, okay, well, they're basically in bed with the Russians. They're basically in bed with Donald Trump. And therefore, we basically can't believe anything they're saying. And I've already seen some media outlets starting to say, oh, well, we don't know if this is a whistleblower that gave WikiLeaks this stuff or if Russia just hacked it. They're already kind of hinting that Russia could wind up being blamed for this. Now,
I've already had one of my liberal friends has already been like, don't you think it's a bit of a coincidence that this release is happening right after Donald Trump's wiretap Twitter? Doesn't it seem like a little bit of a coincidence, kind of intimating that this is part of the WikiLeaks Russia confluence? And it's just, this is.
There's no corroboration between Russia's ordinary, everyday hacking attempts against us and vice versa, and some trove of information or some kind of amazing server they cracked into. It didn't happen. If it truly did happen, they would have turned that information over to the military. We would have had our pretense for war. We wouldn't still be building it under this inane hacker shadow phantom trace. It didn't happen. We hack each other. Everybody hacks everybody all the time. You can watch the attacks in real time. They're 99% DDoS all the time, just trying to jam each other up. Firewalls are extremely hard to get through unless you're on the ground. And that's where these leaks came from. Somebody died, or multiple people died to get this information out.
Yeah, one of the things I wanted to bring up here, and it kind of muddies the waters on this whole, blaming Russia for the Donald Trump thing, is that, according to some of these revelations, the CIA's got a program that they call Umbrage that is able to basically carry out cyber. They're able to use this program to do cyber false flags. So think about this. All of these accusations that have come out, they started coming out right after the election, and they were fed to Washington Post from a anonymous official within the CIA, claiming that there was evidence that Russia was tampering in the election in some way or another. Now, there's several things here that I want to talk about. First of all, the Washington Post has a conflict of interest with the CIA. The owner of the Washington Post is Jeff Bezos, who also owns or is the CEO and founder of Amazon, who has a huge multi-$100 million contract with the CIA. And so there's a major conflict of interest there. Is it coincidental that the CIA was feeding information to the Washington Post? I doubt it. Secondly, under this Umbrage program, the CIA could hack anybody it wants and blame anybody that it wants. Yeah. So it's really hard now to say, oh, well, even if evidence did start to emerge, it's like, okay, there is a Russian signature here. Just like you remember there was a memo that came out that got torn apart by the analysts after it came out because it was like some old, like recycled Russian code that was like old as hell. And they're like, well, this is how we know it was the Russians. Like, dude, that code has been public for a long time. That's not proof, right?
Yeah.
So,
Nick, we were talking about this last night. Basically, with this Umbrage program, there's essentially no way of authenticating where this code is coming from, and there is pretty much nothing to stop the U.S. from manufacturing any kind of false flag cyber terror attack or collusion between Trump and Russia. I think that's what's coming.
They were saying, I dug into this, and me and Jake went over it last night a bit. I dug into it. They were saying technically there's maybe a handful of countries in the whole world that could identify it as being a fake, meaning Russia, Israel, Germany, UK, China, Japan, those advanced countries, they could detect that, but a normal business could not. A Fortune 500 company, something huge that employs, I don't know, 500,000 people, they don't know. They'll assume Russia hacked them and destroyed their payroll system or something. You know what I mean?
This brings up an important thing, because this is one of the few stories where I can't say too much, but this is one of the stories where I've had a source with knowledge that works with sensitive things within a contractor for the government, who told me, you guys remember when Sony got hacked and they blamed it on North Korea? My source told me that North Korea wasn't responsible for the hack. They didn't know who was responsible. The guy that I know that was working as a contractor, they didn't know who was responsible for it, but they knew that it wasn't North Korea. But he told me, and this happened just several days after he told me, and I wrote an article about this. You guys can go back and look on the website. We wrote about this several days before it happened, that there was going to be some type of retaliatory measures against North Korea via cyber attack from the United States. And it was like 4 days later that the media came out full press saying that North Korea was responsible for the hack. And remember, this was during the time of that stupid movie. It's a funny movie, but God, the interview, right? And so several days later, the North Korean central bank got knocked offline, and it went dark, and so there was like a bunch of cyber things going on there. And then we just found out just a couple days ago, I'm trying to pull up the story here, that they were using malware to attack North Korea's missile system. The United States was under Obama. And there was just an article out, I think, I can't remember what site it was on, saying how, well, they're trying to push Trump into using malware as well. Anyway, so what I wanted to get to here is that, talking about false flags and shit, that stuff was reserved for, like, person-to-person talk at bars when Jake was in town and we're out there hanging out at the dive bar across the way. But, this conspiracy theory, quote unquote, is now proven, basically. Not any particular one, but basically this Umbridge program that we now see because of these leaks, it shows that the CIA not only has the capability, but the intention to use false flags. So now it's going to be, with what we know now, it's going to be impossible for anybody to say, okay, well, yeah, North Korea did this hack on us, or Iran did this hack, or Russia did this hack. How's anybody going to know? All of them could have been done by the CIA. We don't know.
Nick, now's the best time, if there is a time, to at least partially do what you're doing and divest into cryptocurrency that has blockchains that can be proven, through actual occurrences on the internet that have multiple mirrors. So you're not going to lose everything if a bank goes under.
Nick, are you into Bitcoin now?
Here and there, man. Here and there. I'm starting to get into it. I'm learning about it. I'm starting to take a liking to the Bitcoin blockchain and all that stuff, because I think it will be the next. It is right now the most viable way to get off of the Federal Reserve central banking system.
Remember IndyMac? Do you remember either of you guys IndyMac in LA? That bank, that the federal bank went under, and they only provided up to $100,000 in coverage. There was people that had more than that in there, and they lost everything over $100,000, and then they had to wait like 4 or 5 months. And that's why physical banks really don't serve much purpose except to hold a couple grand in there to pay bills. Everything else should be in Bitcoin or actual gold coins or silver coins or something else.
Because now that stuff can get hacked, right? It can get hacked, and they can blame it on whoever the hell they want. So it is a very tricky time. So the realm of CIA false flags and shit. This stuff that like, oh, Alex Jones, there he goes again. He's talking about CIA false flag. Well, first of all, you're probably not going to see Alex Jones talking about that stuff much now because he's now become a bootlicker. But second of all, now it's no longer like fringe. It's like, okay, this stuff. Not only do the CIA possess the tools, they possess the intention to do this stuff. I don't think these documents say how often they've done them.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to say...
Maybe it is going to be documentation that's going to come out from WikiLeaks. Now, remember this. Now, the way that Greenwald and them rolled out the Snowden leaks was brilliant. What they did was they rolled out some things. They waited for the officials to comment on them, and then once they had something where they can catch them in a lie, then they would roll out the next set.
Right.
And so this is what I think we may start seeing happen with the Vault 7 stuff is once we get some officials on the record and them denying or saying certain things, then they can roll out other things and say, okay, no, that was a lie. Like, so the goal here is to do as much damage politically as possible with the leaks that you have. So the stuff that they released initially, of course, they're probably going to go for some shock value and to get some buzz going, but they're probably saving up a lot of the really good incriminating stuff so that they can get some people and catch some people into some really incriminating statements. And I would not be surprised if not only a bunch of these deep state people got taken under and maybe some Obama administration people, but I wouldn't even be surprised if even they waited and trapped Trump into some statements that were untrue or misleading, and that Trump took some major flack for this stuff too. I mean, I don't think anybody's going to be immune from this stuff. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I think that's a great analysis, and I think it's exciting, man. I gotta tell you, I mean, it's we were talking about the deep state, all of last year, and it was still a fringe concept, and and now it's all over the map, and everyone's talking about it, and now just as quickly as it's become, a known term that people are talking about, just as quickly now we have WikiLeaks. Looking to dismantle it. And ostensibly, we have a president that wants to dismantle it. I'm still withholding, my hope a little bit as to what Trump is trying to do. But we certainly have him taking on the intelligence agencies a little bit. And
some of the things he's doing are they're just strange to see. Like taking or dismantling the EPA doesn't make any sense except to pave way for big polluters, although really it paves the way for big polluters for maybe like a 5-year window tops, because as you know, Jake and Nick, from doing your own research, the kilowatts per hour are becoming cheaper for renewables than fossil fuels rapidly. They only have like a 5-year window. So this first term for Trump's going to be about kissing the butt of his donors. If he gets a second term, which is highly likely the way the DNC's imploding and they're going to destroy themselves because they're corrupt morons, then in the second term, you're going to probably see a green economy by default because it's cheaper.
Right. And then he'll go down as, then you're talking about a Reagan-esque type president. He'll be, hopefully by that time, he'll have, scaled back some of his more divisive rhetoric. And, to clarify here, I'm not a Trump supporter, but I do like certain aspects of what I like that he went against the TPP. And I really love that he is putting a gun to the head of the deep state and calling their bluff. I mean, his tweets, I'm sorry, I still can't get over those tweets. I cannot get over the fact that he sent out 6 tweets early in the morning on Saturday accusing the beloved ex-president of wiretapping him and calling him sick. I mean, this is just unbelievable.
He took my advice because Obama has delayed his move-in with Jarrett because I'm sure that Trump has bugged his new mansion. Just you got to return the favor,
Yeah, but this is just historic. I mean, this last week, I mean, we're talking, this is historic internal fighting here. This is a government becoming unhinged. And now with WikiLeaks released and knowing that they have so much more to come, I mean, you're talking about the slow dismantling of one of the most powerful, secretive cabals that has ever been on the earth, and it's going to be.
Are we mad at Trump at dismantling everything? What if Trump dismantles the CIA as the final hammer? He can do what JFK couldn't do because JFK didn't have the military support, but Trump does. Trump just gave the military a 10% pay raise. You think they're not ready to take out?
That doesn't mean they won't take them out, though.
No, dude. You have a difference now. There's a very subtle difference.
There is a difference, but
JFK did not have the military in his corner. He did not. You have to look it up.
I find it really interesting too what's going on. Back to Trump's tweets, the funniest thing at the end where he slammed Arnold Schwarzenegger as a bad actor. That was just hilarious, dude.
I didn't catch that.
Yeah, like the fifth or sixth tweet was like him saying how bad of an actor Arnold Schwarzenegger was, and that's why that he didn't quit the Celebrity Apprentice, that he got fired, basically.
I tweeted, I had to tweet at him, "You're pushing too many pencils."
Now, I don't have the hope for Trump that you guys have, or like holding out hope for him, at least.
No. Let me correct the record here.
Right.
I think Trump is going to accidentally cause a war with the deep state. I think he has. I don't know what he wants, honestly, but I mean, I don't think that he's willfully trying to dismantle the deep state. I think in his hubris and his ego, he's going to cause a massive internal war with the government. It's already happening,
and this is something that we predict on the show.
You got to hand it to him for those tweets. I mean, who else would do that? That's crazy what he did.
They can't exist with a healthy American people. So, like, it's really that simple. Like, if we have a healthy economy where me, you, and everybody else is making more money and paying less tax, then they just go away. They only really exist because everybody's just basically in a crappy position, and we are funding these people. They need to be, like, just broken up, man. You know? It's as simple as that.
Yeah, dude. So we got to hit them from every angle.
We're not getting any of the advantages of the empire, and look what it's doing. We're doing bans on Muslim countries, making forever enemies out of them. We're building a wall we don't need. We could just, honestly, we could annex Mexico. The people there hate their government. If we were like, we're going to take you over, you're going to stay the Mexican states of the United States. We're just going to wipe your government out because they're shit. And we're going to wipe your cartels out because they're shit. And we're going to let you guys stay Mexico, and you're just going to be part of our financial system. Bam, done. If you just did that, it's over, man, and all this stupid crap is done.
I think the best part of these new WikiLeaks dispatches are Vault 7 and what's to come. This is going to catalyze an entire generation of younger people to embrace encryption, and it's going to be a big deal. Encryption is about to be like the number one word on everyone's lips. I mean, it's getting up there now, but when they start getting to some of these later releases, it's going to be a big deal. Now, apparently, the Intercept claims that Signal and WhatsApp aren't breached, that you can still use some of those encryption apps, and that it's okay. But we're about to see the birth of pop encryption here. That's what these releases are going to do, and it's going to be a great thing for privacy.
Yeah,
it'll lead to the necessity of mosquito drones and stuff, though.
Yeah, hopefully we need micro drone swarms going around.
Well, that's already happening. I've been writing about that for a while. The micro air vehicles, yeah, dude, they have drones and insects right now. They're out there. That's why we can't. I'm not saying we can escape the surveillance.
We can escape the mass surveillance, though.
We can escape the mass surveillance, and dude, the more the stuff comes out. Dude, there's gonna be a fucking coup. I mean, the people aren't gonna accept this for that long, unless Americans have become so complacent that they really just don't care anymore. And I fear to say that may be the case.
Well,
I
we're
think
only
I think there's some people that have become so apathetic, right? There's some people that are just, who gives a shit? I'm not doing anything wrong. Who cares if the
But-
government is slipping into fascism? Fine, that's not going to affect me badly.
Remember the
There's some
blackout,
people-
Nick?
There's some people that are like that, but it doesn't matter. We only need a small percentage of people who feel strongly about something to make an impact, to make a major impact. Back to back to the Trump stuff. We kind of predicted this. I know we all talked about this several months ago, actually, about how Trump's big weakness, would be like the thing that could work in our favor, as far as like deconstructing this massive corporate empire, is his big ego and manipulating his ego against him, and getting him to blunder, or getting him to overreact, or in this case, getting him to not comply directly with what the people are trying to tell him to do, whether it be the CIA or whoever else the actors are that are trying to tell Trump what it is he can and can't do. His ego is getting in the way of that. Now, the people who are trying to manipulate things, and I think the CIA is a big part of it. They're not giving up by any means. What they're doing is they're saying, well, we're going to start. If you don't want to comply and do what we're telling you, well, we're going to start taking down your people, right? And so down comes Flynn. Flynn's gone. Now down comes Jeff Sessions, maybe. These leaks weren't just coming from nowhere. These leaks are coming from the CIA, right, or the NSA, or one of these big intelligence organizations, and they're coming out against Trump to get him to do what they want. And I was talking about this with SM Gibson a lot while he was here, because we were trying, we were discussing, what's really going on here with these leaks against Trump and the CIA and all that stuff. And I think what it is they're just trying to nudge him in the directions. They're trying to say, okay, Trump, like, you do what we tell you, or we're going to sink somebody that's close to you. And if you don't comply at first, well, eventually you're going to comply, or we're going to make your life a living hell. And if at the very worst, we can go down that ultimate route, the JFK route and stuff. So, right now, what I'm seeing with the CIA, at least up until these leaks. Now here's the thing: the timing of these leaks, Jake, your friend may have been onto something here. Now, I'm not saying that these leaks have anything to do with Russia, or that Russia supplied the leaks or anything. But what I'm saying is that because of this rift that has developed between the CIA, because look, just after the election, those leaks started coming out from the CIA where they're saying, okay, Russia was involved in the election. So there's been this rift growing between the general public, the CIA, and the populist Trump candidacy. There's a visible rift there, right? And so WikiLeaks was probably sitting on this information for a long time. In fact, this may have been the info that was part of Assange's dead man switch or whatever. Who knows? But Assange saw an opening with the rift between the CIA, the Trump organization, and the general public. And now he's injecting this CIA information into it. The timing is not coincidental, I don't think. I think this is stuff that he's been holding for a strategic time. Like I said, the goal of these leaks is to accomplish the most amount of damage possible with what you have. And these guys they don't have very many resources, but what they have is some really dangerous information. So when all you've got is information, you've got to use it at the right time. I mean, how many times have we saved up articles where we have like the article that we did on Milo? I was holding on to that article for 2 weeks before the time was right for us to let it out, where it would give the most impact. And sure enough, it did. When we held it for the right time, we used it when it was most necessary, and it had a really big impact. So I think that the timing is not coincidental. It's very strategic. Assange has been sitting on this stuff, and he saw the rift between the CIA. I mean, when have you heard this much discussion? In fact, when was the last time we saw an instance where the public was at odds with the CIA? That hasn't happened in decades. It's been a real long.
Watergate, right?
Like Watergate, and it's not very often that the CIA is even in the news, and it's not very often when anybody has any problem with them, even though they should. I mean, we've been criticizing the CIA since day one on this program. But the general public, out of sight, out of mind, they don't know what the CIA is doing. They don't know they're toppling governments. They don't know they're running guns from Benghazi to Syria. They don't know about all that stuff that we've been talking about. So they don't really care. You know, most people that know about Benghazi is because they're Republican and they want to blame it on Hillary Clinton when there's much deeper things going on over there with the Benghazi thing, and it involves the CIA and all that stuff. So whatever. That's a whole nother story. But Assange launched this leak as a weapon, and they hyped it. I've never seen any leak be hyped this much, and a lot of people knew about this stuff ahead of time. And so we're going to see some of the most interesting times in U.S. political history, at least in recent decades. I think in the coming couple months.
That was only 1% too.
That was 1%. So what we're going to see is the more that this stuff gets talked about, the more officials go on record, the more if and when they start having congressional hearings and, you know, probing the legality of these programs and stuff like that. And they start getting people to, when they start subpoenaing people, get them to testify and all that stuff. Then we're gonna once they testify, they go on record. Then you're gonna see a leak that comes out that will be contradicting what they're trying to say. So they're gonna wait. WikiLeaks are gonna wait for these guys to lie. Then they're gonna come out and contradict their lie. And then those people are gonna have to come back and say, okay, well, what I really meant was, you know, this is kind of like what we saw with like Clapper, and you know how he said, oh yeah, we're not spying on Americans, you know. We're not willingly spying on Americans and stuff. And then Snowden comes along and is like, nope, you're lying, dude. You know, but see, here's the thing. Clapper kept his job. Clapper didn't get fired. Clapper barely left. He just retired when Obama left, right? So, you know, we have to be careful to hold these people accountable, man. I mean, Clapper lied to everybody in this country, and we let him get away with it.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. At the end of the day, the government is going to look us, if they have to, the government will look us right in the eye and say, fuck you. At the end of the day, the government will say, this is what we're going to do because we're the government and we can do it. We have the ability to do this because we have control over you, and we're doing it because we're consolidating power, and because, we're protecting you also because you're in danger from terrorists.
Then, I was going to say, and then who takes physical custody of these people? Who would arrest them? There's only one authority that's on parallel with a federal agency, which is the only one that's also any civilian oversight, and that is the military. So, I mean, what I think and I feel is that they're building that evidence up. These leaks are slowly but surely preparing the public. When these, and I say if because Trump could be toppled, but let's assume that he can get through whatever 6 months that's necessary for all this stuff to come out, for the public to be conditioned to a mass arrest scenario so that they wouldn't riot in the streets and there'd have to be martial law scenarios, so that maybe we wouldn't implode as a country because we're so damn corrupt that it's going to take a while to get people ready to look at that, to actually look at public officials the same anymore at all.
We lost your audio for the last few seconds, but I think we got what you're talking about. And yeah, dude, maybe these leaks are coming from the military branch, and they're trying to put the intelligence branch back into check. And we all know the intelligence branch lies more closely with like the banking cartels and all that stuff, and they basically go around manufacturing wars and geoengineering not in the skies, I mean, but like, you know, geopolitically engineering the world. At least they try to, and many times there's disastrous consequences, and whether they wanted to or not, it winds up involving the military, and our guys get sent into wars that they shouldn't be in. And you know, the perfect example with that would be, you know, Iraq. You know, it doesn't matter what you believe on any of the reasoning behind the war on terror and stuff, there's no reason to be in Iraq at all, and the CIA is more or less responsible for getting our guys over there and getting a bunch of guys killed and demoralizing. Basically, the CIA has demoralized the U.S. military in many ways because of these crappy wars that they've got them into that they shouldn't be in. They're not people. Our guys aren't in Iraq and Syria right now protecting our freedom. They're not, and they know that. The guys out there fighting, they know that stuff. They're over there like, what the hell did they get us into? What are we doing here? This is not our fight. This is not a winnable fight. And what in the hell are we going to get out of it? You know, like, and even if they were being more honest, it's like, you guys are going to go fight for our oil. Like, Trump wants to, you know, I've heard Trump remark several times that he's like, yeah, we should just go take the oil in Iraq and stuff. It's like, the guys don't want to be, military guys don't want to be fighting for some other dude's oil either. They don't. If these were mercenaries that were getting a share of the oil and, you know, these were Blackwater, I could see them fighting and, you know, not coming home and killing themselves. But these are military guys that are getting very low wages. They're not getting any share of the pillaging going on. And it's all being privatized and given to people like, you know, Halliburton, Exxon, and all the other regulars. This demoralizes the military guys, man. And the CIA is mostly responsible for making all that shit happen and getting us involved in these things. So I think there could be something to what you're saying, DB, with maybe it's the military leaking this stuff out. Maybe we won't find a individual whistleblower because it's actually coming from someone higher up in the military that's trying to put the CIA in check because they've gotten so out of control. I mean, look, they're weaponizing our cars. I saw an article today that said 85% of the smartphones on this planet can be weaponized by the CIA. I mean,
well, we were talking.
Control,
we were talking last.
So far out of control, it's beyond any. Like, we're not going to take these guys to court and say, yeah, you're going to go spend 6 months in jail for, you know, doing it. It's like, dude, no, they've victimized the entire world at this point. Like, this is some major shit. I don't know if people are not understanding how big this is, but this is some really big, major shit. I mean, I just read also that Germany is talking about filing charges about over this program. So, I mean, this is really big stuff. DB, go ahead, dude. Sorry, I know you didn't want to.
I know but you're completely solidifying a point that we've made time and again. I just want to harken back to the Presidio military base in San Francisco. When they found out that these pedophile rings were abusing the military's enlisted and officers, children of the military, man. Can you imagine that this was 3 decades ago plus, and this stuff was going on, and thousands of kids went missing, and you can imagine what happened to them. But listen, the military can only take it so long. They're regular people too. I mean, they're not these crazy ass satanic, whatever the hell they are, worshipers or whatever these people are, dude. And they're regular people. They're doing a job. Even the officer class are more or less regular people. And when their kids get hurt and enough of this stuff just keeps building up, and then these emails come out and this proof comes out, I mean, you're going to have an insurrection in the military. You're going to have one in the NYPD soon because of the Wiener file. You're going to have one in the FBI soon because of Comey. You're going to have an insurrection along 3 fronts against a private company. I mean, the CIA is funded by black ops that could dry up quick. So, I mean,
even if we don't get, even if we don't get the full scope of Pedogate coming out, you're going to have an entire country realizing that the deep state, intelligence apparatus at the heart of the government is literally treating the American people as enemy combatants. And at that point, there could be a mobilization. There could be more people coming out and saying, who knows what's going to come out in the rest of these leaks? I mean, we need a million.
We need a million mom march. Can we wake up a million soccer moms to get pissed off enough to march on Washington, saying down with the CIA and the deep state? Could we wake up a million moms?
That'd be thrilling. If we can get this is gonna let us know how many people are awake and how many people are still sleeping. Because I'm still seeing people on my social media feed that really just aren't. I mean, I'm hardly seeing anyone make a big deal out of it. It's like, well, we already assumed they were doing that. What in the hell are you talking about? Your TVs are spying on you. Your phones are spying on you, and this doesn't bother you?
Well, I'll tell you this. I think Julian Assange is underrated. I think people think that he's a partisan hack, and people think that he's just some dummy that doesn't, he's just, I don't know, an attention whore or.
No, he's a revolutionary.
People think a lot of things about Julian Assange. Julian Assange is a brilliant guy that knows what the hell he's doing. He knows how to make blows land. I mean, look what he did to Hillary Clinton. The election may have been decided by Julian Assange.
Definitely.
And so this guy knows how to land blows, and we're going to see. This is just the opening shot. The CIA is going to come out, counter. They're going to try to do. You're going to see counter moves going on over the next week. Sorry, I got some major sirens going on right here. So you're going to see some counter moves, and then you're going to see the next big leak. And, it's just going to be a constant back and forth here. But going back to Trump and stuff, and Jake, you clarified your position. I think, DB, you've got a little more of a holding out a little hope for Trump. I personally think Trump is not going
I don't see him as being, he's not running things. He's a figurehead for the economy that's going to bounce back because the military is back in charge. And it's in their best interest to rebuild America instead of implode it for the empire. So, in fact, if you look at what's going on globally, you know what's happening to the biggest country right now in the world, India. India is going cashless. What do you think that's going to do? So we didn't lose. We won, and India lost. And the globalists can play their game in China now, and whatever happens, happens.
Yeah, I just, personally, I don't think Trump is going to be helpful in any way. I think the one variable here that is most important, I think, is Julian Assange and whoever is feeding him these leaks. I definitely see this as a different party than whoever supplied the DNC leaks. I definitely see this as a whole different set of documents from a whole different person or people or, whatever, however it was acquired. But the thing that I do find, and believe me, I oppose Trump on basically everything. I think he's extremely dangerous, especially on xenophobia and how he's stoked up fears about religious minorities and about ethnic minorities and stuff. I think that's where Trump is most dangerous. What I do admire, though, is that, again, going back to this ego thing, is that Trump is kind of unwittingly stoking up a civil war, as Jake was saying, within the government that is exposing these rifts between the deep state, the newly energized populist Trump movement, and the military wing of the country, of the government. So we're seeing really a kind of dropping of the veil where we're starting to see some of the workings behind the scenes, and there couldn't have been a better time for it because we're entering a stage where people all around the world are starting to get a little bit frustrated and they're starting to lose patience, especially like westernized, developed countries like what's going on right now in France and England with the Brexit movement. Now Ireland is talking about leaving England. Scotland was talking about leaving the UK. I mean, this stuff is going on all over the place, right? So we're in a really interesting time, and what better time could we have for the CIA to get exposed? I mean, the timing couldn't be any more precarious or dangerous, but at the same time helpful, because also with all of our communications and our technology and like the personalization of the world to everybody else, we're in a time where we could actually achieve peace, dude. Like we really could achieve peace if we got a lot of these bad actors out of the way. And the worst actor of them all, that's the CIA. They're the first ones that need to get dismantled for the world to start being able to maybe accept and embrace peace and build towards it. The CIA has to go down first.
Just break them up and put them in other countries, like outwards, point outwards. We already have the FBI for inside the country. If they detect something through the NSA, they'll investigate it. We don't need a permanent government in the shadows. They need to go outside of the borders and protect us outside of the country with human intelligence like they used to do.
Well, even that, like that here's the other thing too about the CIA. And this is to me the most worrisome thing. Like the CIA feels like it's got the moral obligation to go around knocking over governments. I mean, how many times have we seen this happen? I mean, basically everybody in the Western Hemisphere, except for maybe Canada, has had the U.S. basically engineer their government. Some of them have taken them back. I mean, looking down at like, Venezuela, and which is a shit show in itself. But some of these countries, like God, I'm slipping my mind right now, dude. Some of these Central American
Look
countries,
what we just did to Brazil, Nick. I mean, geez.
yeah, dude. Yeah, and Brazil's a huge country. Some of these countries have already come out from our grasp, but the CIA has basically toppled every country in the Western Hemisphere, and they use the Monroe Doctrine as as like a prerequisite to doing that. And other countries, Libya, Syria, Iran, Iraq. I mean, we're doing it right now in Africa and some countries. The CIA is one of the most destructive entities in the world. They go around starting wars and electioneering. They're telling other countries how they should have their governments. They back, death squads. How many, the Iran-Contra scandal, they're backing right-wing fascist dictators and stuff like that. The CIA's got to go. The CIA is probably the worst criminal organization in the world, if not, one of the worst ever. Of course, the Nazis did much worse, but I mean, a lot of those Nazi guys came over to the United States in Operation Paperclip, and they wound up helping founding the CIA. You know what I mean? So it's not much better. So
one thing to think about is that who is pulling the strings on the CIA? The CIA is doing someone's bidding, and that's obviously an issue that we can't answer here. But what are the real people pulling the strings? And this gets into more conspiratorial terms here. But
the easy answer is old money, Jake. Just
right.
Old money and old royalty and
super rich. Keep its wealth and get richer.
American royalty was a lot of people don't understand that Standard Oil was the most money ever concentrated at one time in human history at one point. Like Rockefeller had $2 billion when that was about worth, I don't know, like $2 trillion today. So can you imagine that kind of wealth? And he had that in the 1880s. I mean, Standard Oil ruled the world for 100 years.
Yeah. Interesting stuff. Yeah, and it does bring up those questions because, we talk about the CIA and the CIA is doing this, the CIA is doing that, the CIA toppled governments. We know that they created the Banana Republic down in Central America. Well, why are they doing that stuff? Well, the obvious answer was the CIA is a rogue agency somewhat within the government that does the bidding of corporate interests. And that's the worst part. Like, if they were going around toppling governments because they were genuinely a threat to the United States, I would still oppose that, but I would at least say, okay, that's kind of understandable. They were actually trying to protect us. But they're going around toppling governments to be able to keep getting the damn bananas and the damn oil and the resources and the lithium.
Right. Well, it's because they've become a paramilitary organization at this point. They're not just spies anymore. They're they're paramilitary. And the new guy coming in under Trump said that's not going to change.
Yeah, and people wonder, well, why are we still in Afghanistan? We've never had a war this long in our entire existence, and we fought through 2 world wars. Why in the hell are we still in Afghanistan? Well, because of the opium that they got there and the lithium that they got there. Those are things that corporations need, and they can't have the Taliban being in charge of that shit because they're not going to get their hands on it. So the biggest benefactor of the war in Afghanistan undoubtedly is right now at this moment is Big Pharma. Big Pharma is getting all the opium so they can make all their painkillers, all their Vicodin, all their other shit that they're making for everybody. That stuff, a lot of it starts out in Afghanistan, right? And so the CIA is over there making sure that shit keeps flowing. And so these guys are just going over and they're killing people, toppling governments, and spying on people, weaponizing our damn cars against us so that they could make money for somebody else. And then part of that money is paid for by guess who? You and me. The budget their white budget, their white paper budget, the one that's on the books. It's like, okay, wow, the CIA spends a lot of money. And then that's not even counting all the black ops shit they do to make a bunch of money. The drug trafficking, the smuggling, the arms dealing, all this stuff, the other stuff, extracurricular shit they use for funding. that's not even counting all that stuff. So I mean, we're paying for this shit to happen too. It's
Didn't
ridiculous.
Escobar's son just come out and say his father worked for the CIA? I mean, how much more blatant does it have to get?
Big story over on the Free Thought Project that they've gotten very viral story. But yeah, Escobar's son was saying that Pablo Escobar was at some points working for the CIA to get them funding to fight against the communist uprisings and stuff like that, supposedly. Now again, was the CIA genuinely fighting against communist uprisings? No, they were fighting not against communists, but for major corporate interests, like the big United Fruit Company thing. And so there weren't. I don't think the CIA is like actually opposed to communism. They're just in favor of giant multinational corporations monopolizing on certain countries' resources. That's basically, the CIA is basically, you know how they have like monopoly busters and people that go and break up these businesses because they're too big? Like the CIA is like the opposite. They go and make sure monopolies exist.
They're totally fine with communism for people if they're like what they would consider a useless eater. That's what they're transitioning towards, is where there's not going to be a job if you don't have like a STEM master's degree, and they're just going to keep you on the dole permanently like the UK is right now.
Yeah, dude. Man, this has brought up some good conversation because the CIA is just, it's a monster, dude. And you know what? Like, here's one thing that is pretty. It's in a way it's kind of positive. In another way, it's kind of chilling. But here's the good thing. As Snowden said, these guys collect so much data, not just the CIA, but including, he was talking about the NSA, but the same thing applies to the CIA. Is that they collect so much data. And like the article came out today, 85% of the smartphones on the planet are capable of being tapped into by the CIA. Like, they're collecting so much data. They've cast such a wide net that they can't actually analyze data on each and every individual person. So you don't have to worry about this surveillance. Like, you don't have to worry about your computer looking back at you like right now. But it's if and when you get into a position, like, for instance, if the anti-media started to gain much more popularity than it already has, and we started influencing shit on a big, scale, then I have to worry, oh shit, now I got to worry the CIA is going to be trying to tap into my microphones, tap into my video, watch me back through my laptop, and see if they can catch me doing something stupid or catch me doing something where they could blackmail me with, and then they're going to use it against me, But I think the one thing that I did find from listening to Snowden is that, these guys are listening to so much shit that they can't really, they're not really looking at individual shit, and that's why they can't stop, terrorist attacks, because they just listen to so much shit that they're not seeing anything in particular. So that is pretty interesting. The thing that is chilling, though, is that just the fact that these programs exist, it chills out our speech. It chills our free speech, because it's always in the back of your head, like, fuck, what if someone's listening through my computer right now? What if
I think
tapping into my microphone? I mean,
I think that's one of the intended purposes.
I don't know if this happens to you guys, but I'll be having a conversation with somebody about something, and then I'll go on Facebook and I'll see an ad for like something like basically the same thing I've been talking about. And so like I'm almost positive they're already listening to your shit, whether it's Facebook or the NSA or whatever. But I don't know if the NSA is able to, and the CIA are able to consume that information.
There's an element of the panopticon in this as well, which is
that's what I was going to say.
This creates what this does, knowing that they're always listening to you and watching you. It creates this panopticonic effect where we start to self-regulate our own behavior, we start to self-censor ourselves, and we start to limit the spectrum of discourse that could be out there in society out of fear. And this is a form of fascism. And
rebellion. It's very rebellion, and that's kind of like what they talked about with the telescreens in 1984. And it goes to like what you wrote about, Jake, the Samsung TVs. And how they can look back at you. This is like telescreens. This is Orwellian, panopticon. They're trying to get us to self-censor, control our own speech, and not say anything controversial. I mean, this is the way that they can control us. We can't let it happen. We got to bring down surveillance apparatuses, and we got to do it soon.
I'ma let them know through the stereo. Yo, here we go through the stereo.